my amazing Momplex community. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Scotty. I am so thankful and grateful that you're here. If you're watching this on YouTube, you get to see me in my workout clothes. I actually had the intention of waking up, getting showered, getting my workout in first, getting showered, putting on my face, putting on a cute jacket, getting on my jewels and everything. But, and this is what we're going to talk about today, a little unexpected phone call happened on my way taking JP to school. My mom texted, and I don't know if I've told you a little bit about my mom, but she lives half her time in New Orleans, the town in which I grew up, and then she lives half the year out here near us, which has been incredible because then she's been so involved in the kids' lives. She doesn't live with us. She actually rents a place down the street from us. So it's really kind of the best of both worlds because if you've met my mom or you know her, she's 81 years young. I wish we could honestly knock off about 15 years because that woman looks and acts like she's 20 years younger. And so she doesn't want to be dependent on us. She's a very independent, carefree, free spirit, but she's single and she likes to be around us. We're her family and she wants to be with the kids. So she lives half of her year out here and half of her year in New Orleans. And she has a car that she leaves out here. So on the way to take JP and our friend to school, I got a text from her that just said, "Hey, are you awake?" And whenever those messages come in, of course, your brain is like, oh my gosh, that's such a loaded question. What in the world is she going to be asking me for right now? And of course, I said, of course, Mama, what's going on? And she says, weirdly, my car alarm will not stop going off. I need to get it out from their property because it's driving everybody crazy. Can you go pick up the car today, bring it back to your house and get it towed by AAA to the car dealership so we can figure out what's going on? Now, look, in the grand scheme of things, this is not a big deal, right? This is literally going to take me 30 minutes out of my day. But it's a big interruption, right? Because I had my whole day planned out in front of me. And I mean, you're like me. We have a lot of stuff we're juggling, a lot of stuff we want to get through. So we're magicians. It's like Tetris, trying to make sure you've got the time to do everything you want to do, to have enough time to focus on your priorities, to make sure that you're checking things off and to not feel completely spent and rushed at the end of the day. So there isn't a lot of room for unexpected calls and interruptions and curveballs, right? Even though they happen. So I'm not dressed to the nines for this episode, as I know you're used to with me. I'm in my workout clothes because I decided, if I'm going to go pick up this car, I'm going to walk. I'm going to get some steps in. I'm going to take some deep breaths. I'm going to listen to some of my favorite spiritual music on the way. And it was actually very invigorating. And so I said, you know what? That's a beautiful, unexpected gift that I would not have had I not needed to go get my mom's car. And so you know what? Yes, while this was a derailment, a turn that I wasn't expecting to take, I actually decided to turn it into something really, really good. And this is new for me. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, because I think there's this beautiful flex, this beautiful strength that we all have where we can see life and love it, even when it's not going the way we want it to. Or to put it more bluntly, the real flex is loving life, even when it sucks. I'm not saying my mom sucks. I'm very lucky that I have a healthy mama that I get to do things for, and she's incredible. And I don't take that for granted, even though I used to. And that might be a whole new episode. How can you fall in love with your parents, even when they completely drive you crazy? I'm sure my daughter will be like, I need to listen to that one in about 20 years, Mom. So yes, please record that one. But I think the sum of it is the takeaway, like life is messy. There's so much that we can say about life, but I think what I can constantly say is, yeah, life is life. Things don't usually go as planned, even though in our brains, we really want to control it and see that we can make things go as planned. I think the thing that we can all say is a lot of times life does not go. The days don't go as you planned. In fact, I have a call today with my mentor, Allie, and it was scheduled for a certain time today. And then she texted me and said, hey, can we please push it out? Because my nanny called in sick unexpectedly. She's got 2 small kids. She runs a 7-figure business, right? So in her own day, she had a beautiful day planned out ahead, like her whole agenda. It's also being disrupted. But the real flex is saying, okay, now that that's in front of me, how do I want to respond? And it's this idea of like, I think our brains get a lot of comfort when we know what's coming, when we feel like we have control, right? Because when we don't know what's coming, that's what creates a lot of anxiety. And when we feel anxious, what do we want to do? Make the anxiety go away. So we try to control things. I used to try and control life. I used to try and control outcomes, results, my kids, my husband, my mom, my family. And that was exhausting because I actually am not that powerful. I am a badass, but I cannot control other people and I cannot control life. Actually, nobody can. But I learned that I can always control how I respond to life. And that gives me a massive sense of peace and sense of control. And it definitely helps me lower my anxiety. And that really comes with a lot of mindset work, right? You have to create new thoughts around these unexpected phone calls, right? Like my mom calling today to get me to help her with her car. I could have been like, oh my gosh, I don't have time for this. Who does she think she is? This is so unfair. I wish I could just focus on my shit. Why do I always have to be taking care of other people? But instead I said, you know what? I'm really lucky that my mom is here. She's strong. She's healthy. And I get to do things that help her. And gosh, I can go walk to her house now. So now I'm going to get some steps in. Check. That's taking care of myself. I'm going to listen to some beautiful music and I'm going to take some deep breaths and I'm going to go help her get her car. And guess what? I'll be able to get through everything I still want to get through. It might be just a little bit slower, right? It completely changes my energy, but it doesn't derail me the way that it used to. And I want to talk about that today because especially as us Gen Xers, we're in what's being called the sandwich generation, right? We're raising kids, but we're also caring for aging parents because they're living longer, which is beautiful, but it adds unexpected things to our day, right? So it can feel like we're being stretched so thin that we're almost transparent, right? And then just when we think we've caught our breath, someone spills spaghetti sauce all over your white carpet. Maybe the dog tracks in muddy footprints all over the carpet that you just got cleaned. Maybe your mom calls about their Wi-Fi not working. I mean, how many times have you been called by your parent from clear across the country and they're like, I cannot get my Wi-Fi to work. But the flex is loving your life anyway. Loving it even when it sucks, even when something unexpected happens, even when that curveball's coming at you, because it's not just surviving it. It's not just about getting through it. It's about being alive, right? It's about loving it even when it sucks. And I share that moment that I had with my mom because that really came in. It's those unexpected text messages and those can feel so invasive, right? Because you can't help but let it enter your world. So it's kind of like already a problem, right? Like my mom's problem became my problem. And this used to frustrate the hell out of me because when I was not taking care of myself and I was living as a mommy martyr and I was constantly burned out and I wasn't sleeping well and I didn't have good boundaries and I wasn't prioritizing self-care and soul care, I was always spent. I was always running on fumes. So anytime an unexpected request came in, it would just send me off because I had nothing left to give. And it would just drive me completely crazy because it would make me even more frustrated, right? So that, like your kids fighting at the restaurant when all you want to do is have a nice meal. Or maybe your partner was supposed to be home at 6, but they call and say they're not going to be home till 9:30, which is after bedtime, right? Or that call from the parent needing help. So it's, there's a little bit of science in this, right? We have to appreciate that our brain is our brain and it does have a tendency to catastrophize things, like how our minds can take small stressors and blow them up into massive problems. Our brain loves to default to the negative because it doesn't like anything that could be deemed dangerous. And when you get that text message or your kids are yelling or the unexpected traffic is going to make you late to work for that call, or, you get a phone call from the bank that, something is overdrafted, right? So all of these things trigger us and send us into a stress response, which then tells our brain to release cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So our brain thinks that we're in danger. So it's going to tell us that this thing in front of us is very dangerous and it wants us to run away from it. How can it tell us to run away from it? To tell us to be upset about it, right? But in that moment, while it's completely normal to be triggered by the unexpected, and when you get interrupted, it's frustrating. It is super frustrating. But if you take care of yourself and you're not in burnout, it's less frustrating. I do know that. But you really want to give yourself a second to say, wait, hold on. What if the real win isn't fixing everything or removing everyone who's interrupting me, but choosing to see the good even when life feels impossible? Spoiler, it's a choice and it feels a whole lot better. So when that phone call came in from my mom to go help her with her car, I could have chosen one path. Super frustrated, super offended, very stressed that I wasn't going to get up to everything I wanted to do, very stressed that I wouldn't be in my beautiful tweed red jacket hanging on here for this episode, and annoyed by her that she would just put her problem on me, right? But instead, I said, you know what? This isn't as big of a deal as my brain's making it. This is going to take 20, 30 minutes out of my day. And how lucky am I that I get to help my mom? And once I help my mom, she's going to feel incredible relief. And that, what a gift I get to give her there. So she's going to have a better day. And once I get the car over here, I then get to focus on everything I want to focus on. And it feels good to feel good. So it's a very different energy shift. But I mean, I think a lot of times the way that social media is, there's a lot of this energy around, the woo woo and aligning our mindset and self-care and soul care to help us live our best life, right? And I'm all for that. I want to help us live life on our terms. But I think what's happening in some of these messages is they're only going surface and they're kind of mismarketing us and telling us that, gosh, if you get your mindset aligned and you practice self-care and you get sleep and you heal your burnout, you will always be happy and you will never have a challenge and life will be easy and life will be good. So we work our asses off to get ourselves to practice wellness and to take care of ourselves from the inside out. But then we're surprised and shocked when life is still dishing out life. Because the truth is, chasing happiness does not mean you're not going to also have unhappiness. Life is 50% good and 50% bad or 50% hard. And living a soul-led life does not mean you are void of obstacles and challenges, because I have obstacles all the fucking time. I have challenges all the time. So does everybody in my life. It's not that those things disappear. It's that you have more fortitude. You have more grounding energy to help you handle that. And I think that's where we're being misled, to think that life is never going to give us problems if we, take care of ourselves. Life is still going to feel hard. Life is still going to need your love and attention. Life is still going to have curveballs. The difference is when you learn how to love yourself from within, when you learn how to take care of yourself and decide that you're worth taking care of yourself, you become stronger. And then all of a sudden, life's challenges, they don't derail you the way that they used to, because one, you have more energy because you're not burned out. And two, you trust yourself more and you have more confidence and you trust that you have a guidance system that is helping you still get to where you want to go. So you see these obstacles and these roadblocks and these challenges just as that. They are not more than that. They are just obstacles and challenges that you get to decide how you want to respond to them. And so it's not that life is void of problems. It's that you look at those problems a little bit differently and you handle them a little bit differently. It's really about understanding that life is gonna life. So if we plan for that, we don't feel so butthurt by it and we don't feel so offended by it and we don't take it so personally, because life is going to keep lifing. The goal isn't perfection. It's perspective. And that's where I think we've had some misguidance. Is that life is not meant to be perfect. You're not meant to be perfect. Your kids are not meant to be perfect. But when you choose to look at life differently, you see life differently and it affects you differently. And that's really what this is about. It's this, still seeing the good even when life is really hard. I mean, the sandwich generation thing is something that I'm really learning about. I am so blessed because I have both of my parents, and my husband and we're interesting. We're like the Olympics. I don't know why that's the example I equate it to, but my parents got divorced. His parents got divorced. My dad remarried. His mom and his dad both remarried. My mom did not remarry. You don't have to keep up with the family tree, but my kids have 7 grandparents. 7. What a blessing. But with that intricate family tree comes also some family dynamics and some family energies. And while there is a lot of blessing in those 7 grandparents, there's also a lot of humans and there's a lot of human experiences. And so we do have some days. We do have some days where we feel the pressure of those 7 grandparents, and I love them more than life itself. And I mean, I literally count my blessings every day because I have friends who've lost their parents, and I know that they would trade their left arm to have one more day with their parents. It's going to make me cry. It's one of, and this is a perfect example of like the perspective. You can see your aging parents and the challenges of bringing in new family members as something that's exhausting, that takes work. But you could also see the side of that coin that says like, holy moly, we have another beautiful human in this family who's going to love our kids as much as we do. And so you get this beautiful perspective shift. It doesn't mean that the challenges are going away. It's a perspective shift that allows you to see the joy and to find the gratitude. And the universe loves gratitude because what we send out, we get boomeranged back, right? And it's one of those things where if we're not aware, we can wish things away. We can wish hard seasons of raising our kids away because they feel so hard and they're so interrupting and they're so challenging. But be careful what you wish for because that season goes away. I had a really hard time with newborn age. That was really difficult for me. I didn't know how to take care of myself properly as a new mom. And so I really was running on empty and I was very depleted. If I could go back and talk to myself, I'd say, girl, please prioritize some sleep and get some help. You don't have to martyr yourself and prove that you're a super mom. I was on this mission to do everything by myself and to be this perfect mom. And I ran myself ragged. And so because I was so burned out and I wasn't sleeping and I wasn't eating and I wasn't moving my body and I wasn't letting other people come in and help my kids, I was around the clock, always taking care of my kids. I was always the one that was making the food, feeding them, breastfeeding, going on walks. And when my kids were napping, I was cleaning. We didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. So we were scraping by and I just felt like it was all on me. But because of that, I really didn't enjoy the newborn phase. I was always so heartbroken and devastated when they would wake up early from their nap. I would get really pissed off when they would wake up in the middle of the night. And I just never really allowed myself to just be. And so I wished that phase away. I wanted them to get older. I was like, I cannot wait till they're in school. I cannot wait till they can sleep through the night. I cannot wait till they can walk themselves. And guess what? That happened. I'm not mad at myself, but there's a lot of beautiful moments that I rushed through because I was tired of not having control over my life. What I didn't know at the time was I was trying to control everything around me when I really needed to shift my perspective and decide, hey, all I have control over is me and how I'm choosing to show up. And I can choose to look at life differently. I can choose to take better care of myself. And then it becomes kind of irrelevant what's going on around us. When you're living a soul-led life, truly, circumstances around you don't become more than what they are meant to be. They are just circumstances. And you get to choose how you respond to those circumstances, which allows you to roll through life and find love and gratitude, even when it's sucking, even when it's hard, even when it's not working out the way that you want it to. And it's making this choice to see the good in it, right? Like that time you decided to laugh instead of cry when you got the phone call that your son got into a fender bender, or when your toddler spilled spaghetti, or when you had to let go of the frustration while waiting on hold for your parents' health insurance to get figured out, right? It's really choosing to see life not as that big of a deal. And that can actually be freeing. And when I say that, I'm not trying to demean that what we're going through isn't significant and it doesn't matter and it doesn't affect you, because that's all very true. But there is a beautiful balance of seeing what you have control over and what you don't have control over, and using your energy for that so that you can take care of your energy and then allow yourself the ability to see life for what it's also going well, right? And so let's see, how can you do this? It's really about like finding good even in the chaos, right? So like let me give an example. Okay. My mom calling me today to tell me, thank you so much for helping me with the car. You don't understand how much relief you just gave me. Or your kid giving you a hug after having a meltdown and you guys singing along to a really fun song in the car on the way home from school, right? It's like this ability to shift your focus and ask yourself, what's one thing I can appreciate right now? Yeah, the shit is hitting the fan. yes, the day is not, I would not have drawn up this day if you had given me a pen and a paper, but can I also see some sunshine? Can I also connect to some of the things that remind me that I'm alive, that I do have a lot of wonderful things going on around me? And it can be as small as the sunshine or your favorite song on the radio. And it's not about not acknowledging when life isn't easy. It's sometimes it's like we need to say, look, life is lifing and I'm going to deal with it. And yeah, I wish I was dealing with something else, but I'm going to deal with this now. And that way, that moment doesn't change and change your mood and hijack your whole day. And it's really choosing to see the good in the middle of the hard as well, right? And it's talking about really shifting your perspective. And I think probably the most simple thing that I've done is, and this is very hard, but it is a letting go. It is a letting go of control and actually planning and expecting for those curveballs, the unexpecteds. And you ask yourself, look, if you're in the sandwich generation and you're raising kids and you're taking care of aging parents, it's almost like you can say, look, I'm in a situation right now where I'm going to be pulled in all directions. So how can I take care of myself so that I have the strength, the mindset, the patience, and the fortitude to handle what life is going to dish out in a way that feels good to me? For me, that's taking breaks. That's resting. That's prioritizing my sleep. That's not drinking alcohol right now. That's eating really well. That's getting exercise. That's taking moments and putting my feet up. And, it's taking care of myself so that I have the ability to take care of whatever life is asking me to take care in this season that I'm in. And here's the best thing. You get to teach this mindset to your kids, right? Because how we model this for our kids is going to change their mindset too. When you're a teenager, let's say they are going to get rejected from the college that they want to go to, and you help them reframe it to see this as an opportunity instead of a failure. Getting a rejection letter from a college, it fucking sucks. There's nothing you can do about it, but you can help your kid through that moment. What a beautiful opportunity. And I'll think of this moment sticks with me forever. We have this really steep hill in our neighborhood that my kid bikes up. And I mean, this hill is a bitch. And I'm so impressed that these kids bike up this hill. Well, a couple years ago, he was biking around with a neighborhood kid. And, long story short, my kid ended up getting a ride home from school one day instead of biking home with the neighbor. And the neighbor across the street, she got pretty upset with me because she felt like my kid had left her kid at the bottom of the hill. And then her kid couldn't bike up the hill. Massive, unexpected derailment for the neighbor who thought he was going to have my son to be able to bike up the hill. But my son got a ride home that day, and that's just something that happened, right? So in those my friend the neighbor had two choices to handle that situation. She could have looked at her kid and said, you know what? Yeah, that sucks. I know you would have definitely been happier riding up the hill with your buddy, but he wasn't available today. So what are we going to do? We're still going to get up the gosh darn hill because you're amazing and you're capable. And this is a great opportunity, and I'm going to do it with you. And guess what? It's going to be fine. We're going to get through it. She didn't handle it that way. And that's none of my business. But it's one of those things where we can say, look, we can take this opportunity as a teaching lesson and to teach our kids resilience and fortitude and perspective shifts so that no matter what is going on around them, no matter what circumstances happen, no matter when life is lifing and people are peopling and shit is hitting the fan, they trust themselves that they will be able to handle it, that they have the head on their shoulders, the mindset, the perspective, and the experience to handle it. Because that is something we can all agree on. Shit's always going to happen. And how great is it when you can just handle the shit, right? And still see the good in that moment of being able to say, look, yes, this is not what we would have wanted. You would have so appreciated having a buddy bike up that really hard hill with you, but you're amazing and you're strong and you can do this. So out of that lesson, he could have discovered how capable he was and that he still would have had faith in himself even when something unexpected happened. It's a beautiful opportunity we have. And it also makes life a whole lot easier because it helps you practice a lot of gratitude. And gratitude is very, very healing. And when you practice gratitude and you have positive thinking, it's one of the best ways for you to turn off stress, get the feel-good hormones pumping through your body like dopamine and serotonin, and turning off the cortisol hormone pumping through your body. And positive thinking is one of the best ways to rewire the brain. Neuroplasticity, one of the best ways to do that, positive thinking and affirmations. So when something comes and interrupts you and pisses you off and stresses you out and completely interrupts you and makes you feel like shit, life sucks and it's coming out for me, you then you have a choice. You can continue down that path thinking that life is out to get you and life sucks and there's no hope for you. And then you just go down the vibration ladder and you keep getting lower, lower, lower. Or you can say, you know what? This is a challenge, but I am so strong and I can handle this. And I have everything I need to get through this. I'm surrounded by people who love me. I am strong as shit. I've got a beautiful head on my shoulders. And guess what? I've gotten through hard stuff before. I can get through this too. And I'm bigger than this. I'm stronger than this. I have way more power over this. Then all of a sudden, the cortisol ties down. Your breathing starts to deepen. Positive thoughts start trickling through your head. You've got dopamine and serotonin and all those feel good things. And then guess what? You are literally in control of yourself. And that is so cool because there's going to be like, wow, like you literally get to narrate your choice. And actually, I would say you get to become your own thought generation. And I would say narrate your choices out loud so the kids see you in the process. Wow, that was a tough moment, but I'm going to focus on how we can make it better. And we're going to get through this. They will start to adopt that language. And that is positive thought. That is going to raise your energy vibration from one of anger, fright, and despair into hope and power and resilience. Look, I love you. Life will always have hard moments. I mean, my gosh, this is going to drop right around the holidays. And we all know the holidays have their own hard moments. So this is a beautiful season for you to practice this perspective shift and start choosing to see the good, even a little bit. That is the ultimate flex. That's going to save your energy. That's going to help you feel in control. And that's going to take every single moment and make it life worth loving, even when it feels like a chaotic mess. So that's your challenge. I want you to practice this today. I want you to practice it this holiday season. The next time life throws something hard at you, take a breath, look around for one small good thing. Maybe it's not as big as a deal as your brain says it is. And maybe you are way stronger than you're giving yourself credit for. I'm so thankful for you to listen. If you ever need help, I am a mindset expert. I am literally here to pump you with all the power to help you live a life on your terms and to help you shift your perspective so that you see life for what it's a gift for you and you understand how much more powerful you are over how things are going. So I invite you to find the good and send them to me. Send me some of those finding the good moments. Send me a DM, leave me a review, drop a review at your finding the good moments. Please share this with other moms who need this. And, mention other, like if you feel like this, if this episode has resonated, please post it on your social media. This podcast is truly my baby. And I pour my heart and soul into it in here to truly change your life. And if this has even given you 1% of a mindset shift, please share it with other moms, because the more we can share, the more we all start showing up with more gratitude and more strength and more resilience. That'll trickle down to our kids. The kids are our future. And if we can give them that gift, just think about what they will be able to do with their life. It's all about this. I love you. You're incredible. You've got this. I'm so thankful for you. You've got this, mama.